The highway cuts through the dark like a scar. A two-lane stretch of road, cracked asphalt, outside a Rust Belt town that's seen better decades. Closed factories loom in the distance, their silhouettes barely visible against a cloud-choked sky. The only sound is wind and the low hum of tires on pavement. A car drifts across the center line. Inside, the driver laughs. Too loud, too loose, one hand on the wheel, the other fumbling with a radio. The empty bottle rattles in the footwell as the headlights sweep the shoulder of the road and catch a figure standing there. A man, thin, still, too close. The driver yanks the wheel. Tires scream, metal slams into flesh. The car fishtails, barely stays upright. The driver doesn't stop. He doesn't even look back. His hands shake as he floors the accelerator, breath coming fast, panic bleeding through the alcohol. Then, in the rearview mirror, a light. One headlight. It wasn't there a second ago. The light grows brighter, faster. The low growl of an engine cuts through the night, rising to a deafening roar as a motorcycle tears down the highway behind him. The driver's face drains of color. He presses harder on the gas, speed climbing, the road blurring, but the motorcycle closes the distance effortlessly. The headlight pulls up alongside him, riding even with him. The driver turns his head. The rider wears a helmet, black and scorched. The visor is shattered on one side. Behind the broken glass, a single eye burns, not reflecting fire, made of it. The rider raises a pistol. The gun doesn't flash, it ignites. A flaming sound screams across the narrow gap between them, punching through metal and glass. The driver's scream is cut short as the car jerks violently, swerving off the road, tumbling end over end into a ditch, before crashing back onto the asphalt, twisted and broken, lying on its side. Silence. The engine revs. The motorcycle roars past the wreck, disappearing into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of smoldering fire etched into the road. The flames gutter, fade, and the night swallows everything. Back at your home base headquarters, you sit in front of your computer as your computer screen flickers once and then resolves into a familiar image. Assistant Director Miriam Cortez sits at her desk in Washington, framed by neutral walls and carefully placed light. No personal items, no wasted space. She looks directly into the camera, expression composed, hands folded just out of view. Good evening, agents. Thank you for making yourselves available on such short notice. She glances down briefly, reviewing a file, and then looks back up. This case originates in Ashford Falls, Ohio, former manufacturing town, steel, automotive supply, rail. Like many places in the region, it never fully recovered after the 90s. Population decline, economic stagnation, understaffed law enforcement. Early this morning, local authorities discovered the body of a transient male along State Route 47, just outside town limits. She clicks a key, and an image appears on a shared screen. The victim was identified as Michael Donnelly, age 46, originally from Scranton, Pennsylvania, no fixed address, known to drift through small towns, doing temporary labor when available. Evidence indicates Mr. Donnelly was struck by a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed. Tire marks suggest the traveler attempted to swerve at the last moment, but did not stop. The victim died at the scene. Another click. Approximately 7 miles up the road, deputies located a crashed vehicle in a drainage ditch. The driver was deceased. Vehicle flipped. Extensive trauma. She pauses, letting the next part land. The driver was Earl Maddox, age 52, local resident, forklift operator at the Ashford Falls distribution yard. Mr. Maddox had 4 prior DUI arrests, a suspended license, and was legally prohibited from operating a motor vehicle. The cause of death was gunshot wound to the head. The wound was cauterized. Medical examiners report no powder residue, no conventional ballistic evidence. The injury was consistent with a projectile of extreme heat, sufficient to seal tissue instantly. This incident does not stand alone. Since the 1990s, Ashford Falls has experienced several other cases similar to this. Each one follows the same pattern, a fatal hit and run, followed shortly by the death of the responsible driver from a gunshot wound with identical characteristics. In each case, what follows is a brief escalation. Additional deaths, some same wound profile, then nothing. The incidents stop, sometimes for years. The Ashford Falls Sheriff's Department believes they are dealing with a serial offender, possibly one who leaves town between cycles. They're currently on high alert and expecting another killing. The cauterized wound suggests something else. You're being assigned to this case effective immediately. You will proceed to Ashford Falls and coordinate with local law enforcement. Your role is advisory and investigative. As always, your involvement is unofficial. Commercial airline tickets have been arranged. You are expected to arrive no later than 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and report directly to the Ashford Falls Sheriff's Office. Be cautious. Patterns like this don't appear without a reason. Any questions, gentlemen?
Could you say the name of the transient one more time?
Yes. Michael Donnelly was the transient.
Do we, by chance, have access to any of the case files for the previous offenders that or offenses that took place that they can
Uh,
recall?
those are being compiled by the local sheriff. Let me see if I can get you his information. Sheriff Grant Hensley. If you report there at 10 a.m., he should have all the information for you.
All right. Thank you.
A lot of those files, from my understanding, have not been digitized because they date back to the 1990s.
Okay. Do you have any question sites?
No, I think I'm good. I think we'll wait and talk to the sheriff in the morning.
I guess one last question actually comes to mind. We wouldn't happen to have a prior X file related to this, any other uh, opportunities to have looked into it in the past that we know of, do we?
Nothing like this. Unfortunately, a lot of those records have been sequestered and are still unavailable to me at this time. I do not recall there being anything similar in those files.
Thank you. All right. Well, I guess we should get ready for some not light reading. Excuse
All right. Well, the next morning, bright and early, you board the plane and head to Ashford Falls. When you arrive, you'll find Agent Seitz there already at the airport waiting for you, and he's got a car already rented from the local enterprise, and you guys can make your way into Ashford Falls. It's about um, 40 miles south of Columbus. So it'll take a little while to get there. But the drive is pretty uneventful. And you guys reel into Ashford Falls under a low, colorless sky.
Just out of curiosity,
Hmm.
does our route actually take us by where we know the incident to have taken place at all? I'm just curious.
Um, yeah, probably.
Probably won't stop, just, you know,
Yeah. Um, the road where this took place is kind of on the outskirts of town. It looks like fr from the report that you got, the guy was heading out of town. He lives kind of out in the burbs. But this area has got several factories and whatnot that are kind of a little bit further off the road. They're still visible, but far enough where something like this could have happened, and it would have been, at the time that it happened, this is not a very heavily traveled road. So it wasn't necessarily on the highway, but it also wasn't necessarily on one of the back roads either. But during this
mhm.
time of night, it's probably in between shifts. So there's not a lot of travel down this particular road. Um, you can see, I know you said you weren't going to stop, but you can kind of see the area where this happened, because there is distinct, like, tread marks that seem to be burned into the pavement, almost as though the tar itself melted slightly.
Does that look like car tracks or bike tracks? Just out of curiosity.
It looks like bike tracks for sure.
Okay.
And the you can see the skid marks from the car and maybe still some debris kind of scattered along the road. You can see where it went down into the ditch, where the dirt was kind of dug in, overturned, and then flipped back out onto the road.
Hmm. I guess whichever of us is driving, the other person's kind of detailing what they see as they go. And probably make,
You want to stop and get out? You want to look?
I think getting to the sheriff first might be a good way to go. I'd rather have talked to the sheriff before we find ourselves at the site versus have a one of their local color cops, you know, stop and see us and ask us what we're up to without a heads up.
Yeah, make it official, I guess.
Yeah. Or as unofficial as official can be.
Yeah. Um, all right, so you guys continue on into town, and the town spreads out in layers, brick stone fronts with faded signage, chain link fences wrapped in dead weeds, rusting water towers bearing logos of companies long gone. Closed factories loom just beyond the main road, their windows dark, their smokestacks silent. This place feels like it's waiting for something to happen, or waiting for something to come back. Your vehicle rolls down Main Street, past a diner with a flickering neon sign. a shuttered movie theater, and a handful of early morning locals who watch you pass with quiet curiosity that's reserved for outsiders. At the far end of town sits the Ashford Falls Sheriff's Office. The building is squat and utilitarian, poured concrete, narrow windows, flagpole out in front bearing a weathered American flag that snaps weakly in the wind. Inside, the air smells faintly of burnt coffee and old paper. The front area holds two mismatched desks and a waiting bench worn smooth by decades of use. Bulletin boards are crowded with missing pet flyers, community notices, and yellowed newspaper clippings. A narrow hallway leads you deeper into the building, interview rooms, holding cells, and offices tucked away like afterthoughts. A man rises from behind a far desk as you enter. Sheriff Grant Hensley is in his early 50s, broad-shouldered with steel gray hair, cut short, and a face permanently set in a wary squint. His uniform is immaculate, his badge polished, his posture rigid with practiced authority. He offers a firm handshake. Agents, Sheriff Grant Hensley, appreciate you getting here so quick.
Thank you for letting us participate in your investigation.
As he speaks, there's a bit of a relief to his voice, subtle but real. And behind him, leaning against a filing cabinet with crossed arms, is a younger deputy. Agents, this is Deputy Kyle Maurer, my right-hand man. Uh, he watches you the way that somebody would watch a magician, half expecting a trick. He doesn't offer a hand, but he kind of nods a bit. He says, "So, FBI's here for our hit and run." Hensley shoots him a look, doesn't say anything, but he gets the point, and Maurer shrugs, just saying. And I'm going to pull you to a room here. Hensley leads you into a small conference room. Walls are bare except with a corkboard with crime scene photos pinned in uneven rows. He gestures to them. You've seen the basics. What you haven't seen is how consistent this is. He points to a photo of the road. Melted tire marks like the asphalt got soft for a second. Another photo of the wrecked car. No shell casing, no bullet recovered. Entry wound looked like it was burned in. Maurer speaks up from the doorway. Probably some kind of modified round, maybe military surplus, maybe a guy who likes theatrics.
Did y'all recover the round at all? Or was it
No, no rounds recovered at all.
okay?
All I know is that town's seen this before, and every time it happens, people die until it stops.
Hmm. Question, are there any commonalities between any of the cases that y'all know of beyond the bike tracks and the type of death? For instance, were there transients at any point struck in any of the past scenarios that occurred that you know of?
Well, if we want to go through all of that, we certainly can. At some point, I'd like to take you over to the salvage yard to let you take a look at the car. We've got our coroner with the body right now at the coroner's office. It's a couple buildings over, but we can walk over there. But yeah, we can go through all that if you want to.
Yeah, we'd at least like to take a look through the files and see if we notice anything. Um, I'd also be interested in knowing if it's the same road or if it's a different road. or
Mm.
you know.
Definitely different roads. Never always happens at the same spot. And usually, well, you want history? I'll get you history. But I'll warn you, this town doesn't like to talk about this stuff. And Maurer chimes in again. Town doesn't like fairy tales either. You can see that Hensley is kind of used to these remarks, and he just kind of gives a little bit of a sigh and then heads out of the room to grab the
Is this your first time seeing this Mauer, or has it happened while you've been here before?
I think the last one happened about 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Um, I've been on the force for about 10 years, so it was about 3 years before I came on. But yeah, I mean, I've heard the stories. Town likes to talk.
Hmm. What does the town say about it?
It's some bullshit ghost story about some sort of like phantom rider that comes back to life and takes vengeance on hit and runs. It always involves a hit and run, so I mean, there's something to that, but I don't believe in ghosts, so you know.
Yeah, maybe something in the files will point out if there's a common element that's more on the human side than the ghost side.
Well, yeah, I would like to think so. I mean, somebody's behind this, but we just haven't been able to figure out who.
Right. Still knowing what the locals think, if there is somebody who's trying to use that to their advantage, just knowing how they would cover up what they're doing in real life by using something more fabulous is a help. Thank you for sharing that. If there's anything more specific about what people say, that would be great to know too.
Well, you
Might
know, I mean, I imagine you guys have more information than I do, but there is such thing as incendiary rounds, and you know, I'm former military. I'm familiar with those things. I've seen the wound, uh, and you'll see it later, I'm sure. But I, I'll say, yeah, okay, it's odd because there's no exit wound. But from the point of impact to me, it looks like an incendiary round.
I, I kind of speaking to sites. That's good to know. We might try to see if our resources would allow us to check into purchases for incendiary rounds or something of that nature, or at least distributors for them if there are any um, non-criminal courses by which you can get an incendiary round.
And Seitz says, you know, my experience with stuff like that, my understanding is that that's not stuff that's really readily available to the general public.
Right,
Um,
right.
that's not to say that, you know, people don't sell it under the table. Um, but yeah, that would probably take a little bit of doing. We'd probably have to ask some of the locals around here, maybe hunters or gun enthusiasts that would be willing to talk.
Right. That's an angle at least.
The sheriff comes back in and has a stack of files that he sets on the table and pulls the top one off. All right, gentlemen, here's what we know. This is the first one. This is May 1993. A woman named Lena Carver was killed crossing Route 47. 23 years old, worked nights at the Riverside Lounge. Driver never stopped. Within 12 hours, the suspect was identified. Named Roland Pike. He was a machine operator at Sutton Metal Works. Guy was found dead in his garage. Gunshot wound to the head, cauterized, just like what we saw here. Then came the rest. He pulls some more pictures out. This is Earl Whitcomb, bar owner from the Riverside Lounge. Knew Pike as a regular. We got the sister of Ronald Pike, Donna. She was with her brother at the bar the night of the hit and run. Then last, Caleb Moore, co-worker at Sutton Metalworks. All dead within 4 days of the first incident, all same type of wounds.
Is it normally come in fours?
Mm, yeah, it does actually, now that you mention it.
Hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So this is the second one. Um, October 2002. Hit and run took Marcus Reed, 28 years old, night shift welder, driving home from work. Suspect is Thomas Kell. He was a city council member, well known as a heavy drinker, found dead less than 24 hours later. Now, this was a little bit before my time, but I've heard the stories. Subsequent victims, Janice Kell, his wife. She hosted a fundraiser the night of the hit and run, but wasn't in the car when it happened. She was found in the garage next to her dead husband. Lloyd Benton, liquor store clerk, sold alcohol to Kell and stated that he was already visibly intoxicated. He was still blitzed from the fundraiser. Last but not least, and this one's the kicker, Sheriff Alan Brewster, the acting sheriff here at the time. This guy was a longtime friend of Kell. Brewster was found in his driveway, same wound, and rumor has it that he had a tendency to kind of cover for Kell and his frequent uh, driving while intoxicated. Guy probably should have had his license taken away years before, but because he was so tight with Brewster, Brewster kind of let him go on more than one occasion. Because of the murder of the sheriff, the state got involved with that one, but the case died after a couple of months. Never could find who was behind it, and it kind of got shoved under the rug when the new sheriff took over.
Hmm.
Most recent one was 2013. I was a deputy at that point. Victim in this case, Nate Holloway, age 19, killed biking home from a late shift. Says the individual that was behind the hit and run in this case was Darren Lowe. He was an HVAC tech, left a party at Jacob's Pub that was hosted by his girlfriend. He was found dead in his pickup truck the next morning. Additional victims in this case, Mick Lowe, which was Darren's cousin and drinking buddy, had been with Darren the night the night of the accident. Rachel Lowe, uh, the girlfriend, she was the one that was hosting the party. And then Stan Wilkes, bartender at Jacob's Pub, served low the night of the incident. 5 days, then it stopped just like before. And this is where the ghost stories come in. Back in 87, there was another hit and run, not part of the pattern, at least not officially. Jake Baker. Jake wasn't a saint. He was a local biker, member of the Hellions. But he was liked, hung out at the bars, knew half the department back then, petty stuff, never violent. Baker was killed riding his bike late one night. The driver vanished 3 days after Baker's funeral. People started saying Jake didn't stay dead, that he came back on the road. One headlight, fire where there shouldn't be fire. And Maurer crosses his arms. People say Bigfoot lives in the quarry. Every time one of these cycles starts, someone brings up Jake Baker. Every time. And every time, more people end up dead. I don't know what's doing this, but I know it doesn't miss. And I know it doesn't stop until it's satisfied. Or until people sober up.
Mm.
Sheriff
Uh,
Hensley opens up a large map that he spreads across the conference table. He's got red marks on locations across Ashford Falls, homes, businesses, stretches of road, as few are circled in black marker. This time, we're not waiting for the next body. We're operating on the assumption that whoever or whatever did this will move down the same path as before. That means people connected to Earl Maddox, which is half the damn town. We got deputies rotating 12-hour shifts, eyes on homes, escorts to and from work, cruisers parked out in front. If this guy's out there, we want him to know that we're watching. You were going to say something. I'm afraid to cut you off.
no, that's okay. That's you're kind of going down the path that I was about to ask about. Um, do we know who sold him the alcohol? The most recent.
We do. Slide another file over to you. Abe Smith is our first potential target. Abe owns a bar called Smitty's. He's been running the place for about 25 years now. Smith is in his late 50s, thick build, perpetually tired eyes, known for watering down drinks and looking the other way when customers shouldn't be served. Maddox drank there most nights, last stop before the hit and run. Abe admits that Maddox was drunk, says he tried to cut him off. We got a unit sitting on Abe's house and another parked across from the bar after closing.
Do we know?
Then, yeah, go ahead.
Do we know if there were any people who were actually being served um, with the deceased?
Yep, we sure do. This guy right here, Bill Fuller. Bill is Maddox's best friend, worked the same shift at the distribution yard. Fuller's mid-40s, divorced, known to drink hard on weekends and drive home anyway. They were drinking together at Smitty's earlier that night. Bill claims Maddox left alone. Bill's under escort, home to work, worked home.
Earl have any significant others? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
all
see you're
right.
sliding another picture my way.
That's okay. Did you say who had significant others?
Well, we can get back to that question in a second.
Okay.
I was asking whether Earl had any significant others, but we can look at this fellow with the nice watch first.
So this is David Green, local defense attorney. Green's well connected, kind of man that shakes his hands at fundraisers and knows everybody's first name. He represented Maddox on his first two DUI arrests, got both dismissed on technicalities. Guy's got 9 lives. He was also at Smitty's the night of the incident. Witnesses saw him and Maddox talking in the parking lot shortly before Maddox drove off. Says he was giving legal advice. We got a unit on his house and another shadowing him during business hours. If the pattern holds, one of these people is next. And if it doesn't, we still can't afford to be wrong.
Does Earl have a significant other that we know of?
No, he's been single and hasn't been able to hold down a relationship for years.
Okay.
He can be a bit of a violent drunk, and the half a dozen dates or so he's been on in the last 10 years haven't ended well.
Gotcha. Um, During any of the past investigations, what if we found out about the Hellions? I'm sure at some point somebody's taken the time to look at them since they're associated with the legend, at least.
We've questioned a few of those over the years, back in 2013 especially. But I mean, truthfully, none of them have been around at the time of any of the hit and runs at any of the bars beforehand. So we don't really have any real connection other than they're doing most of the talking about Jake. And probably the ones really perpetuating the myth behind him. It makes for a good ghost story for them, and they're really not local. They kind of pass through town, and there have been occasions where a few of them have been around, during the incidents, but none of them directly tied to it.
Okay. Make a note real quick on something. Or I can tell you as well. This is not being spoken aloud in the room right now,
Hmm.
but I'm later on. Sam's planning to talk to Seitz about the possibility of determining if the Hellions would have any um, underworld access activities that would give them access to incendiary rounds, like Mara was suggesting.
Hmm.
Um, so I can ask that outside of this room with this particular group of people, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
and sites will tell you, I think that probably makes good sense, honestly.
okay. I can check that as a way to go. Um, sure. If this, thank you for going through these files and going through a trip down memory lane. I know if you were on the investigation that happened most recently, that's no picnic. You had originally wanted to show us a car, if I recall.
Yeah, we can head up to the salvage yard, or if you want to, since we're closer, we could head over to the coroner's office and take a look at the body. One One or the other doesn't matter to me.
We'll look at Smiley, because I remember that's Eric's nickname. And you want to do the short walk one first? Go to the coroners and then head over?
Yeah, we
To
might
the-
as well take a look at the body first since we're nearby.
Okay. Sounds like a plan to me too.
All right, well, the sheriff leads you guys outside down the sidewalk just a bit, and about three buildings over, the coroner's office is a converted annex near the sheriff's station. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, stainless steel surfaces gleam under harsh white lights, and the coroner stands waiting beside a covered gurney. This is Dr. Elliot Rourke. He's mid-60s, thin, wire-rimmed glasses, hands permanently stained with disinfectant. He nods as you all enter. Gentlemen, sorry to meet under these circumstances, but I'm a bit used to this. Been doing this a long time. Sad to say, it isn't the first victim I've seen like this. He pulls back the sheet. The wound is too clean. Circular entry point at the temple, edges darkened and sealed, no tearing, no fragmentation, no exit wound. Rourke gestures with a gloved finger. Temperature at impact would have been extreme, hot enough to cauterize neural tissue instantly. Now you can see that he has removed, or there is a definite line going around the cranium, and with a twist and a pop, he removes the top portion of the victim's head, the skull, to where you can see the interior of the skull cavity. The brain has been, well, whatever was there has been removed, but you can see on the inside basically the remnants of what would have been the brain. And the interior of the skull is scorched, and where you would expect if someone had been shot in the head, there would be an exit wound. There is definitely none. And the coroner says that essentially the brain was cooked from the inside out. There was nothing left but just basically a pile of goo.
Um, I'll ask you as GM. Given my characters, I don't know if you call them classes in this particular game, but being sharpshooter and gun bunny type guy, um, are there any roles I can do, or would it be kind of passively just obvious to me whether this is the actual works of an incendiary round if it were shot into a person's head?
Yeah, you should be able to make, um, let's see here, what can we do? I would say an investigation roll at advantage.
Okay. And if I remember right, I click on investigation and then I can click advantage, and it has done its things.
All right, got a 14. Um, this would be extremely odd, to say the least. An incendiary round going into the skull cavity could certainly cause like a searing wound, but it should go through and through. Is there a possibility that a round could get stuck inside? and continue to burn? Theoretically, yes, but the round should still be in the skull. And the coroner can confirm, if you ask, that there was no round discovered in the skull. So whatever it was that burned him, no exit wound has been found. There's been no round found in the car. He is at a loss to explain where the round would have gone. And he has searched the body. They've done x-rays. It didn't like exit somewhere else into his body. So he has no explanation as to where the round could have gone.
Damn, asked the coroner. And you've said that you've done autopsies on not only this victim but also previous victims and found the exact same kind of MO. It's the round is always gone, the brain is in this general condition. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, not all of them have been headshots. Some have been, chest wounds, stomach wounds, etc., but all have been cauterized. And in the cases that I've seen back in 2013, in 2002, we've never been able to recover any rounds.
Okay. Okay. I'm wondering if I don't know how we would handle that because we have the whole man of mystery thing. So maybe Sam wouldn't be able to really go back on any kind of service that he had in the military to determine if there's any similar technologies. I'll leave that just kind of laying in the air as an idea, whether he would know that there were like um, assassination rounds, essentially, that, they come with this type of MO. You can't recover the bullet, so you can't actually identify what it was legally.
Yeah, and I think going off of the role that you'd already made, there is nothing that you are aware of.
Okay. That's
Now,
fair.
that's not to say that there's, some top secret weaponry or whatnot that could do this, but if there was, and these murders are going back to the 1990s, it's probably not something that the military would have been able to have sat on for close to 30 years.
Right. Okay.
That would probably be something that would have been revealed in that amount of time. But, you know, stranger things have happened.
Well, Sites, are there any other questions you have about either this case or the prior cases? I can't think of any additional questions to ask about the transients that necessarily would be answered by an autopsy report.
Um, is there any connection at all between the transients? Are they related in any way? Did they know each other, or did the families know each other? Anything like that? Hensley says, well, it's a small town, so more than likely somebody knew somebody, but we can't really find any direct connection between the victims themselves, the initial victims.
Mhm.
Same thing with uh, the DUIs, the culprits of the hit and runs that were killed. You know, other than the fact that all of them were drunks, and some of them maybe visited some of the same bars at times. Uh, no direct connections between them. And I mean, we're talking, almost a decade between incidents, in each case. And even at that, we can't really even say, it's exactly, it always happens on this date. It's every 10 years. It's there's enough of a discrepancy between all of them that there's no real pattern to when this happens, but it just happens when there's a hit and run, somebody on the side of the road that gets hit.
Hmm. Well, we would appreciate a copy of the report so that we can continue taking a look at it. Um, and think think that's all that we have for now. Um,
I'll have Deputy Maurer make copies of everything for you. Um, what I would suggest, we'll go by, take a look at the car, but as I mentioned, we've got details on each one of the potential victims
mhm.
or targets, I guess I should say. And I can give you the locations of where each of these individuals work. I would say probably if maybe stopping by Smitty's later on this evening when Smitty arrives to start setup, he usually gets in maybe around 3 o'clock in the afternoon to start setup. So we've got a couple hours before, he'll probably be at work. But the other two, the lawyer and the best friend should be at work at this point. So maybe stopping by, talking to all three of the potential targets, let them know that we're watching. They already do, but I think knowing that the FBI is on the case will either make them feel better or maybe get them talking in ways that we can't get them to talk.
Makes sense. So I guess we go by the car. Um, should we do maybe an investigation roll to see if there's anything that pops out new from that?
From the car itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, let me you guys end up heading over to the salvage yard, which is on the edge of town, and it's surrounded by sagging fence posts and piles of twisted metal. Uh, Hensley will lead you to the vehicle. I have a picture of that. And the car is crushed along one side. The roof's caved in, the doors are warped, the windshield is spider webbed, but it's the driver's side that draws your eye. The glass around the entry point is blackened and fused, edges smooth as though briefly liquefied. No bullet hole, not like any I've ever seen. Electrical system was fried, battery was cooked, radio melted into the console. It's like the car got struck by lightning from the inside.
Um, Sam scratches an itchy wound from where he was seared in the last game. Um, so, um, hmm, just kind of taking a look through. Now we know that the fire itself that liquefied the brain, that happened on the interior of the brain, but it looks like this also, there were elements of fire prior to the projectile entering the cranium, and that actually caused this fire damage. That is interesting. I don't say this out loud. This is more me just musing to you. I would call that peculiar. I mean, I don't know of any, I am not a weapons expert by any stretch, but I don't know of any weapons other than the flamethrower that leave a flaming trail. And I can't think of any projectile that would have a flame as part of its exit pattern from a weapon. But that's probably something that he talks about with Seitz later. maybe while they're on the way towards the lawyer or towards the other worker who was friends with Earl. But I guess other than taking a closer look to make sure that he's right about the fact that this fire would have been something that wasn't just emanating from the head of the victim, um, I'm not sure that there's anything additional that he would look for beyond maybe damage, like if it looked like another projectile was used on one of the tires or something of that nature, if it was just the
Mhm.
one shot, that kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, and if you want to make an investigation roll, we can see if there's anything else.
sure.
Aside from that single shot, there doesn't appear to be any other damage to the car that would have been from a firearm or fire other than what I just mentioned. And even the like melting damage, that's in the car itself, it almost looks like it was just from a heat source and not a fire. There's not like charred. It doesn't look like there was a fire in the car. It's just this stuff is just melted.
Gotcha. Right. Well, Science, I don't see anything additional that I can draw from this. So, if there's nothing you're picking up on, maybe we get in our rent-a-car and make our way down to our next, well, one of the proposed targets that could be in need of help.
Yeah, if you want to follow me, we're not too far from the distribution yard, and I can introduce you to Bill Fuller. I'll get you some GPS locations of the lawyer's office in Smitty's. So once you leave the distribution yard, you can head to the other two locations. I got some more paperwork I got to handle and a few more cases that we're working on back at the station, and I'll leave you all to your investigation.
Thank you. Um, while we're en route, I discussed some of the things that I've talked about, being private asides with sites. Um, they're talking about the incendiary round theory and the Hellions and the possibility they might could get something, but also talking about not really feeling that the what we saw at the car necessarily substantiates that as a likelihood, nor what we saw at the coroner's office. And
I mean, do you
so
think that the melting of the items in the car is the result of the round, or could it be something else? Because, looking at the skull cavity, he was burned from the inside, right?
right,
There's We're not seeing any evidence of like scorch marks or anything else. We didn't really ask, I guess, about like his clothes or anything like that. It just didn't come up. But I mean, the rest of his body looked fairly intact. He didn't have any burns like on his torso, anything like that. So I'm curious to know what could have caused that extra damage to the car.
yeah, it looks like it was created more by heat than
Yeah.
by anything else. But I'm not really aware of any kind of a round that would have that kind of impact as it was. Normally it would shatter a window as opposed to, I guess it depends on the window it's going through, the glass it's going through, but I would
Mhm.
expect more shattering. I certainly wouldn't have expected any of that melting effect on
Yeah.
anything. So,
Yeah, and
And
even an incendiary would have shattered the glass. It wouldn't have really melted it like that.
right, there should have been an exit wound with that. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
so if it had been an incendiary round like we were talking about with Maurer, then I think that we would see more evidence of that. And the past cases, at some point, we would have seen evidence of we wouldn't have seen the same thing repeated exactly the same way. Um, I suppose we could check to see if there are any other instances in the past reports that talked about that heat damage.
Hmm.
Um, though I don't know how close that gets us to the perp. Like I don't know how close that actually would drive us towards being able to get to who or what's doing this. Um,
Well, if you want, I mean, I know you raised the question about, if this is maybe some sort of weapon or round that we just are not aware of. I mean, you and I both, I'm sure, have worked cases where, an individual has been shot with a regular round and there's no exit wound, but eventually it's found somewhere in the body cavity, right?
right.
And an incendiary round essentially acts like a regular uh, firearm round. It just has heat, attached to it. And generally, I mean, those are, if, let's just say, for instance, the angle of the bullet hit at a point where it bounced off the inside of the skull and went somewhere else. It should be somewhere, right?
Mhm.
We don't have an exit wound. It should be in the body. X-rays have been done. There's no sign of any round in the body. So if this is a weapon that has been made by military, by the government, by some sort of black market inventor of some sort, then I don't know. I don't have any explanation for it because it defies any knowledge that we have of firearms, right?
Right. Now we saw those scorch marks on the road too.
We did.
So that brings a question into play as well. Because I mean, presumably it's not just the weapon involved here that was going at some type of a heat producing speed, but the biker themselves, the assailant, had to be producing heat as well. That
Hmm.
was fairly radical. Um,
Is it radiation?
I mean, microwaves, but I would think microwaves, if it were something like that, it would have a broader
Broader
implication
effect,
around it.
right? Yeah.
Right.
But if it is localized with a bullet,
Mm-hmm.
but that
Hmm.
still doesn't explain the tracks. I mean, the motorcycle would have to be, you know, uh, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an oddity. I can see why they called. I can see why we're here. Um, I think talking to the people who were concerned about being the next victims is worthwhile, if only to help them to feel a bit better. But I'm not sure how much more than them being bait uh, discussions with them are going to provide us with additional details. Um, but oh man, I'm trying to think if there's any other, like the Hellions talking to them. I feel like if we're looking, let's say that we're looking for more of a a human course here. Let's go the route of a human course here. You have somebody who is perpetuating some type of a myth, and it doesn't seem like they're using it to cover up any kind of thing that's happening within these groups of people. It seems like it's a response to an event, a triggering event. We could have, you're the profiler, so you would know better than I, but I mean, we could have somebody or some group of people who respond to a triggering event that they see in the papers or that they happen to witness. This happened fairly quick, though, because it happened all in the same night. Um, so,
So
but
whoever is the culprit was either at the bar or witnessed the incident itself.
right, you would have to have somebody who is in that kind of a situation. If we're talking a person here, and they'd have to already be outfitted or be able to very quickly kitty themselves for going out and doing what they were doing. Um, so,
I mean, it has like vigilantism, written all over it.
mm,
A hit and run occurs, essentially, a murder, and vengeance is meted out within 24 hours in most cases. In this case, it was almost instantaneous.
mhm, mhm.
So this guy had to have been being followed.
I wonder if there are any people who are related to, oh, what was his name? Not Earl, but man from Scranton who got hit. Wasn't Michael, was it?
The
Michael
uh
Donnelly,
the most
transient.
recent victim,
Yeah, the transient himself who got struck.
yeah, I gotta go back a page.
I think that was Michael Donnelly, maybe.
Yes, Michael Donnelly.
Okay. I mean, somebody who was aware of Michael Donnelly or interacting with Michael Donnelly or um,
Yeah, I
any
think we could probably maybe look into him a little bit more. From the sound of it, though, it sounds like this guy's a bit of a nomad.
right. I wonder if we could check to see if he's ever been on the rolls of the Hellions, though,
Hmm.
or any of the other people who have been involved in these accidents who were struck um, have any affiliation with that group. Um, I hate to sound like I'm fixating on them. It's just
Hmm.
that's our closest thing to a lead is because they're the ones who benefit the most from you know this this myth in a way. It seems like um, I guess some could say society benefits from people who are doing DUIs and hitting people getting called on it, but it's pretty brutal call.
Yeah,
uh,
and the Hellions are kind of a national biker gang. So they are all over the place. I don't know this area very well, but I would have to assume since we're so close to Columbus, they probably are based out of there. It might be worth checking in with the local offices up there and see what kind of files they have on these guys, where they might be able to be found. This is a bit of a small town, so I can't imagine that they have a huge presence here. But since Jake, I guess, was from here, yeah, he certainly had connections.
it's true. We haven't even talked about Jake and his family or his descendants or anything like that. Hmm. All right. Well, I'll make a call real quick to the Ohio branch, and then I'll get out the car and join you with the sheriff to chat with the Maddox's friend here at the factory. This
Okay.
factory we've come to, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So go ahead and do a phone call to try to get some records sent our way regarding the Hellions and the kind of information that feels pertinent to our investigation. and then join them to continue our interviews.
Okay. The office in Columbus has extensive files on the Hellions. Um, they are the local branch is indeed located in Columbus. They have several points of interest there, a couple of bars, a couple of bike shops, mechanics, and whatnot that are associated. Uh, they have a pretty decent idea on who's in charge uh, in this area. Um, they can be a little difficult to track down at times. But if you want them rounded up, we could probably, see if we can get them here at the local office. If you want to ask some questions, we'll see what we can do.
That seems like it would be worthwhile. Like a low key thing, not trying to make this a you're in trouble kind of thing, more of a we have questions and we're hoping you might can give us a hand kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um,
May take us a little bit of time, but we'll see who we can round up for you.
thank you. Appreciate your help.
Hmm.
All right. Did it? Gets out the car, joins Seitz and the sheriff.
All right. So sheriff leads you guys to the distribution yard, which sprawls across several acres of concrete and steel fencing. Tractor trailers idle in long lines, engines rumbling like distant thunder. Forklifts beep and clatter as they weave through stacks of pallets, and the air smells of diesel, dust, and sweat. Bill Fuller stands near a loading bay in a high visibility vest, arms crossed, jaws clenched. A sheriff's cruiser idles nearby outside with its lights off. Um, Sheriff calls Bill over. Bill, I'd like to introduce you to these gentlemen. We've got a detail on you that's escorting you to and from because of what happened the other night. These gentlemen are with the FBI. They're helping us out with the case. They might have a couple of questions for you. Gentlemen, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to head back to the office. If you find anything out, just give me a holler.
Thanks, sheriff. Sam looks up at Bill. Says, I'm sorry about your friend's passing. It's a hell of a thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
How are you faring?
I mean, I'm all right. I mean, I really don't know what happened to him after he left the bar. I
Yeah.
just got the call the next day, about halfway through the day, and found out that he'd run off the road.
Um, what happened during the time that he was around you? When what we're all just shooting the bull, or
I mean, it was after our shift, we worked 12-hour shifts and usually head over to Smitty's afterward. Um, just sitting there watching the game and, like you said, shooting the shit, just like we normally always do. Um, Couple of young ladies at the bar, and Maddox kind of went over, started flirting with them a bit. They weren't having any of it, and he kind of got a little bit pissed off and went outside. I went out after him, talked him down from the ledge a bit, got him back in the bar, sat down, bought him a beer, and you know, uh, not much. I mean, truthfully, I mean, as far as what he normally does, he really wasn't that bad. Um, I think more pissed off than anything.
Uh, gotcha. So basically, more or less, just a regular night after your shift ends, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, after when we were getting ready to leave, uh, his lawyer, David Green, he was at the bar too. Saw us getting up, ready to leave. He asked if I was driving him home, and I said, "Well, no, I tried to get him to give me his keys, but he wouldn't like he normally does. But I told him he wasn't that bad, and then Green went out after him to kind of talk to him, but I didn't hear what they talked about.
Gotcha. And I didn't really notice anybody around who might have been paying attention to y'all's conversations or anything of that nature. Or uh, I suppose it sounds like a friend might have had a bit of a temper, so he might have caught a couple of glances one way or another on any night. But
Yeah, I mean, other than those two girls, I can't remember anybody else really paying too much attention. I mean, most of the rest of them were folks that were used to Maddox being around and used to his tirades, so they didn't think nothing about it. And he didn't get mad enough where he got kicked out. I mean, he had been kicked out of Smitty's before, but Smitty let him back in. And I
uh,
mean, he's had incidents before where he's crashed his car, but he never hurt anybody.
were the two girls new? Were they not from around here?
I didn't recognize either of them. That's not to say they're not from around here, they just weren't regulars.
Uh, that's fair enough. You didn't happen to get their names by chance, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, fair. Making a note that we might ask Smitty. Smitty's the bartender, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Might ask Smitty if he knows the names. Okay. And as far as, the people who were around, was it everybody pretty much people who you knew, or were there people who looked like they were from out of town, or, you
No,
know,
most everybody else other than those two girls were regulars. I mean, I recognized most everybody else in there. There's about five or six people there in addition to the girls.
gotcha. Um, do you have a family that's in town as well, or are you kind of on your own right now?
Nah, I got divorced about 6 years ago.
Oh,
So it's just me. We don't have any kids.
okay, gotcha. Well, I certainly hope that we can help figure out what's going on and keep you and anyone else who could be impacted safe. Um, like like the sheriff said, the details out there, we're investigating. Um, Sites, are there any other questions you can think of that we might could check into before we let Bill get back to work?
Well, do you guys have any idea who it was that might have done this? I mean, the initial report I got was that Maddox got run off the road or ran off the road himself, but now people are saying that he got killed. And I mean, I've been around long enough to hear the stories. There's been hit and runs here in this town before, and I guess that's why they got people following me is that people around the guy that did the hit and run usually end up dead.
I gotcha. Well, we can't as you can understand, with any kind of an open investigation, we can't really give a lot of details about what's going on. That's because we don't want to somehow pollute what's going on out here and have that hinder the investigation. Um, we appreciate you being willing to allow us to do what the local law enforcement feels is in the best interest of yourself as well as the people around. And we're kind of bowing to them in that regard, understanding that they have a better idea of their local area than we do, and treating with respect any concerns that they want us to take into consideration as we're investigating further. Um, but I'm sorry, that's probably not all the answer you would like to get, but it is what I'm prepared as a at the time to be able to offer.
So, I mean, what do I do? I mean, I just kind of go about my daily business.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest. Go about your business. Um, Try to stay in proximity to the detail that is keeping an eye out for you. Um, to keep a watch on you. Um, but otherwise, just do what you need to get through your day. Um, Grieve as you need to, and yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. You hit the nail on the head. If you happen to find there's anything that comes to mind that you feel would be helpful towards an investigation, like you happen to remember who those two ladies were that were at the bar, any information that you feel could be helpful towards the investigation, funneling it towards the sheriff and us would be of great interest. But beyond that, we don't I don't have any special instructions myself that I could impart to you.
All right, well, I hope you catch this guy, whoever it was.
Yeah. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I guess with that, we probably return to our enterprise rent-a-car. Um, this show is not sponsored by Enterprise. um, what do you think, the lawyer at this point?
Yeah, probably so. I think the bar doesn't open up till around 3, so if we can catch the lawyer in his office, that'd probably be the next best bet.
All right, so maybe do that. Go to our customary diner that we've gotten used to. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Same place, different waitresses, different cooks. Um, so yeah, we go ahead and make our way towards the lawyer's office. See if we can catch up with him.
All right.
Oh, I guess we do. We have access to. Were we given like a radio or anything so that we could check in with the sheriff or anything like that?
He just gave you his cell.
Cell phone number. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I guess before we do get in the car, might do a quick drop by the police who are actually there on the detail, just to check in, see if they've seen anything odd, since they're keeping an eye out.
Yeah, and they tell you it's been quiet so far, just a regular day.
Okay. All right.
And they get your cell phone number just in case, so they can call you in case anything does pop up.
That sounds good. I maybe while we're en route to the lawyers, touch base with the sheriff to mention those two ladies on the phone. Don't necessarily give that information directly to the cops. Let him decide if he wants to distribute that to anybody. But I'd probably go ahead and alert him to the fact that there were two ladies that had been interacted with by the victim, and
All right. See if you can get their names from Smitty. Maybe he might know. And
We were
then if you
thinking
get
almost
those, then I can, maybe run some plates or something and see if I can figure out who they are.
we'll do that.
Be good to maybe talk to them.
Yeah. All right. So, lawyer.
Okay. Green and Associates occupies a renovated brick building downtown. Polished wood floors, tasteful art, and the faint scent of expensive coffee. Everything here suggests control. A receptionist greets you with a professional smile that tightens a bit when she realizes who you are. After a few moments, David Green emerges from his office. Moments later, suit immaculate, expression calm, and he invites you into his office.
Thank you, sir. It's a
What
nice
can I
place.
do for you, gentlemen? Thank you. Thank you very much.
We are participating in the investigation uh, regarding the death of Earl Maddox, and we're hoping that we could ask you a couple questions about last night because we were under the impression that you were at a location he was frequenting before he his demise.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I was there at Smitty's the night of the incident. Um, Mr. Maddox, let me just be clear. Mr. Maddox and I do not socialize publicly. It was just happenstance that I was there the night of the incident. I noticed that Mr. Maddox appeared to be visibly inebriated, which is not uncommon, sadly. And I followed Mr. Maddox out to his vehicle, spoke with him, advised him not to drive. But he did not heed my requests, got behind the wheel of his car, and took off. And then I suppose you all know what happened after that.
Make an insight check to see if I feel that he's leaving anything out.
Sure, go ahead.
That's uh,
No,
close enough.
he seems very truthful.
Yes, very true, very truthful. Oh, um, thank you for giving an accounting of a full accounting of what your relationship is with Mr. Maddox and or was with Mr. Maddox and the conversation that y'all had. Um, Out of curiosity, do you happen to know, were you already there when Mr. Maddox arrived at the bar, or did you arrive uh, after him at some point?
Um, I arrived a little bit after he did, from what I can tell. They looks like they got off of their shift. I think they work 6 to 6. And I had a late court date that ran over, and then had a client, so it was probably about 7:30 by the time I arrived.
Okay. Um, about what time was it that he had left? Do you recall?
They would have left. I left roughly about the same time that they did. So it was roughly 10:30.
Okay. Um, During the time that you were there, did you take note of a conversation that happened between Maddox and some um, two women who were not noted as being regulars at the bar?
Yes, I did. He sat down next to the two of them, left his friend, I believe, what's his name, Mr. Fuller, sat down at the bar, engaged the two women in conversation. Um, they were considerably younger than Mr. Maddox, and his let's just say that his advances were unwelcome.
Mhm.
And they made it rather clear that they didn't want his offers of, well, they took his drinks that he offered them, but he certainly was being rather forceful in his demeanor towards them,
Mhm.
and that was unwelcome. I believe Mr. Smitty, uh, asked him to step away from the bar, which he did, and threw some expletives around and exited the bar. And his friend, Mr. Fuller, followed him out. I could tell that they were probably not leaving for the evening because Mr. Fuller left his jacket behind.
Mhm.
Um, so I kind of just sat, watched, waited, and eventually the two of them came back in. It looked like Mr. Maddox had cooled himself off a bit. Mr. Fuller led him back over to the fireplace, and they continued their beverages.
During that time, did it seem like the young ladies ended up interacting with anyone else during the course of time they were there? Or
No, they pretty much stayed to themselves.
okay.
Yeah, occasionally looking over their shoulder, just to make sure that Mr. Maddox wasn't approaching them again. But I think at that point, I think everything had kind of cooled down to a point where they felt okay. But they did leave fairly quickly after that. They finished their drinks and then departed.
Okay.
And this
Gotcha.
would have been probably about 9 o'clock. So at least an hour and a half before Mr. Maddox and Mr. Fuller left.
Did you notice, it would be understandable if you hadn't, you didn't happen to notice what kind of vehicles they took, if they got in the same vehicle or
No, no, I didn't.
gotcha. Well, that's helpful to know. Um, and both you and Mr. Fuller stayed a little bit of time after um, Mr. Maddox left, but not dramatically long after. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Fuller left a little bit before I did. When Maddox got in his car and left, Mr. Fuller entered his car and left shortly thereafter. I went back in, paid my tab, finished my drink, and then I left.
Were you there alone, or did you share company with anyone while you were there? Uh,
Just myself.
just yourself. Okay. And do you have any family that we need to be thinking with regards to with the detail that's, you know, keeping an eye on things around you?
I have a wife and two children, one in high school, one in middle school.
Okay.
And I requested that the sheriff's office have someone stationed both outside my home and at the schools for my children.
Okay. All right. And you yourself haven't noticed anything that has seemed suspicious or out of the ordinary. Police watching you, withstanding, of course. Uh,
None whatsoever, and I appreciate the attention by the local police force. I'm well aware of incidents that have happened, in years prior, and best to be cautious.
Right. Um, being that we're from out of town ourselves, we are trying to make sure that we get a broad view of what has happened in the past. And we have gotten some information from different sources, but would you be willing to give us a bit of what your thoughts are and what you've seen in well over the last decades or so that if you think that there would be something that would be helpful?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not local. I'm originally from Dayton, and I had an old college friend who had taken ill here locally. He needed some assistance, and this has been about 8 years ago. Um, so my understanding is the last incident would have occurred a few years before I came to town. So I have not been present at any of the times where similar circumstances have raised their head. So all I know is hearsay. Um, this is a small community. There are a lot of rumors. There are a lot of um, local mythology, shall we say. Um, and when things like this happen, there are others that apparently are targeted. My assumption is that there is some vigilante out there that is targeting people that they feel are somehow directly responsible for the uh, perpetrator of the hit and run getting into their car and enacting the unfortunate incident of death on a victim on the side of the road. So we're dealing with some sort of psychopath, I would think.
Gotcha. Um, oh, this is a bit backtracking. You didn't happen to hear Smitty or the other those two ladies referring to one of them by their names, did you?
I did not.
Okay. All right. We appreciate forthrightness. We appreciate you allowing the local office to do what it can to try and be vigilant. Um, so, are there any other questions you can think of that maybe we should cover before we um, allow him to continue his day?
No, I think I've heard what I need to. We
Okay.
appreciate your time.
So go ahead and get up and walk out to the door and speak to the secretary, thank her for her time, and check in with the police, who are stationed out here once again, just to make sure that it doesn't seem like they're running into anything, and offer our phone number in case they do need to call us because of something that comes up.
Yep. And kind of same deal. Nothing strange going on, just another normal day. As you
Mhm.
guys are getting into the rental, the site says, so that guy's a pro. And I don't think anything that he told us was untruthful, but he strikes me as a just the facts kind of guy. I think he's telling us what we want to know, but he's also not going to say anything that's going to incriminate himself. So I'd be curious to know really what happened during that conversation out there, but I don't know if pressing him would have really gotten us the information that we want. I could tell by his demeanor that he is only going to tell us what he feels like we need to know.
I'm glad to be with you because I would have totally voted for him if he was running for an office.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does at some point.
Maybe there's somebody else who was out there in that parking lot. Uh,
Well, that would be my guess. If the rest of the guys that were in the bar were locals and people uh, that were known, I can't imagine that any of them would have been the ones to follow. And one thing we didn't ask Green was in the time between when our victim left and Fuller left, and then when he left, if there was anybody in the bar that left like immediately afterward that could have followed either one of them. I mean, from the sound of it, it doesn't sound like there was. Um, but we didn't ask that specific question. I wonder, if he was followed from the bar and it was one of those people that were in the bar, maybe Smitty would know. Um,
mhm.
if and maybe even Green didn't even pay attention to know that somebody had left like immediately afterward or while the victim was leaving.
Right. Right. I could totally see the bartender being more attentive to that since they
Hmm.
have to serve drinks
Right.
and such. Um, I suppose we could check with Smitty and then try calling to get a hold of Green to ask him that as kind of a backup question. Or while we're on our way to the diner, I could go ahead and call Green and see if we can get that last bit from him. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
all right. So while we're en route to the diner, go ahead and call and speak to the receptionist and ask if she could put us through um, to Green to ask him about that.
Mhm. And Green says, to his knowledge, he did
Uh,
not notice anyone leaving in between times. He said that he was there for maybe about 10 minutes in between, the time that Fuller and Maddox left. And by the time he paid his tab and finished his drink and got in his car.
Thank you for the additional information and for taking our call. I know you're busy.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So relays information to sites. This is what we know. This is what Green has told us. So, but I was also wondering if there, in addition to there maybe being somebody who came out of the bar though and left, if there could have been somebody present in the parking lot at the time the discussion happened between that
Right,
conversation happened between Green and them.
right.
So we might can get some information about that too. People
And
who left at the
probably somebody on a motorcycle.
yeah, yeah. I've wanted to ask about that, but I haven't felt like that was something that the people we've talked to might would pick up on. But I feel like the bartender would know what who comes through of that nature.
Yeah.
So we go to the diner, we talk shop, we talk not shop. Um, we stay aware of the time, and when it seems like it's getting closer to that 3 o'clock time, probably head in the direction of Smitty. Guess we check to see if we've gotten any more information while we're on the way to Smitty about a Hellions rep, we'll call them.
Checking back in with the FBI office up in Columbus. At this point, they still haven't rounded anybody up, but they will certainly get in touch with you as soon as they do. And if you will pardon me, I've got a phone call I got to take here real quick, and then I'll probably grab some coffee. So if we take five.
Sure thing. Roll the dice.
Okay. So we were heading to Smitty's, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So Smitty's sits on Main Street beneath faded red and white sign that's missing a few bulbs. Inside, the air smells of grease, beer-soaked wood, and industrial cleaner that never quite masks the past. This place, though, is immaculate. It's a really well-kept place, despite the smells that are coming out of it. Let me pull up a map here. Kind of got a little bit of an old world, almost Western charm to it, with string lights that run across the banisters up at the top. And the bar is scarred with decades of cigarette burns and etched initials. A muted television plays a daytime sports recap that nobody's watching. It's early, too early for a crowd, but the place already feels like it's holding its breath. A uniformed deputy sits in a booth near the door pretending to nurse a coffee. Abe Smith, Smitty, stands behind the bar wiping the same glass over and over again.
As we walk in, drop by the policeman who's on nursing the coffee, and that's things look to be going all right so far. Anything suspicious?
Quiet since we got here.
Okay. Go ahead and walk on up to the bar and Smitty side.
Hey, hey there, what can I do for you fellas?
Well, my name is Agent Stutterswell. Um, I'll let Seitz introduce himself. Um, we we're just wanting to check in on you, see how you're doing, maybe ask a few questions about last night.
Oh, the FBI is here, huh? Must be something big to bring you fellers into town.
We try to assist where we can. Are you doing all right? Are you holding up okay?
Oh, me, I'm fine. I'm fine. Too bad about poor old Maddox.
Yeah. Did he have a tab?
No, he didn't have a tab. I made him pay in advance every drink he ever bought. Never could tie that man down. Once he ran out of money, he ran out of here.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Um, we've been trying to kind of reconstruct, events of the evening that would have led up to his wreck. Um, we heard that there were two young ladies that he had interacted with. Um, was that something that we were privy to?
There's a few 20 somethings here at the bar that night.
Were they were you familiar with them, or were they kind of irregulars?
I mean, I've seen them around. They've been in here maybe once or twice before, so they're locals, but I think they're college girls, so probably just back in town, on a weekend from time to time.
No significant others who were with them sitting in another spot, none
No,
like.
no, no. I think they were probably high school girls. Went to high school girls or went to high school here back in the day, but I just saw them around town. Now they're old enough to go to the local watering hole, and I guess this is just some place that just seemed convenient for them that night.
Mhm.
I'd
When
guess they probably about maybe 21, 22. I mean, I took their IDs, of course. I remember right there in their early 20s.
Did you catch their names by chance?
Uh, I'll be honest with you, I didn't actually look at the names on the license, but I heard one of the girls call the other one Janice.
Okay, so one was Janice. Gotcha. Might if that ends up being something that we need to get more of a lead on, um, might ask you for more information later down the line.
No, I
You
got
haven't,
I got security cameras here. I mean, if you, I can pull that up and you can see who they are anyway, at least get an eye on them. I mean, the quality of the video is not that great, but might help you.
yeah, that'd be great. Do you have interior and exterior cameras by chance?
I do. I got one on the parking lot out front, one out back.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, that would be wonderful. You mind if we take a quick look at those?
Yeah, sure. Come on back. We'll have to go through the kitchen to get to my back office. Pardon the mess.
While we're going behind him, I checked to see if he has any weapons behind the bar, just kind of out of curiosity.
There is a shotgun under the bar.
Okay. Okay. So, when we begin looking at the footage, we of course do take the time to gather what intel we want to on the two ladies that Earl had his interaction with. But I think Seitz is probably going to be especially interested in that exterior camera and seeing if we can catch a little bit more of what happened between Green and Maddox, as well as if we see anybody peel out on a motorcycle, you know, after the after he leaves, anything like
Mhm.
that.
Um, Interior of the bar, it shows Maddox and his pal Bill come into the bar first. There's already about six people in the bar at the time that they arrive. Uh, they come in, take their usual seat over near the fireplace. Um, Bill goes up to the bar, orders a couple drinks, returns to his seat next to Maddox. A little while later, the two girls walk in. You can kind of see Maddox kind of look up as they enter and kind of motions over to them with his drink to Bill. Bill looks over his shoulder, looks at the two girls, and the two guys kind of chuckle and laugh a little bit. And after Maddox finishes his first drink, works up the courage to approach them at the bar. You see the interaction between Maddox and the two girls. Both of them look to be in their early 20s. One blonde, one brunette. Tight jeans. Uh, it's probably late February at this point. So still chill in the air. Both of them are wearing kind of puffy coats. And he orders them a couple of drinks, which they accept. But then he stays and hovers over them for an extended period of time, and you can see their discomfort mounting with every passing minute. Unfortunately, there's no audio to the video, so you don't really hear what it is that he says. But eventually, Smitty comes over, and you can see him talking to Maddox and kind of waving his hand to kind of usher him back to his seat, like go back to your seat, get away, leave these girls alone, is what you would imagine he is saying, and Smitty confirms that, as he's watching the video, and uh, Maddox kind of gets pissed off and exits the building. He's followed very shortly by Bill, And then if you switch to the exterior camera, you can see Maddox just pacing back and forth outside while Bill's talking to him. Bill finally grabs him by his shoulders, talks to him for a little bit more. He ends up sitting him on the steps that lead up to the bar. They sit there, they talk for a few minutes. He pats him on the shoulder. They both go back in, and then return to their seats. The rest of the evening goes pretty uneventful. And he kind of fast forwards, to the point where they get up to leave, and then you see Green exit out with them. Go back outside, and right before they go outside, you see Green approach Bill Fuller. They have a short conversation at the door, and then Green exits the building before Fuller. And Fuller just kind of stands on the porch, kind of watching the interaction between the two in the parking lot at Maddox's car. You see them converse for a while, um, and Green has his hand on Maddox's car, kind of at the seal of the door and the roof, right? Almost looks like he's trying to keep him from opening the door. Um, and there's a short interchange between the two of them. You see Green kind of shake his head a bit. He reaches into his back pocket, pulls out a couple of bills, and hands that over to Maddox. And Maddox gets in the car and drives off. There's no motorcycle in the parking lot. And from the angle of the camera, you do not see any motorcycle that passes by on the street after Maddox leaves. Fuller leaves almost immediately after Maddox. He has a short exchange with Green before he goes, and then he takes off. Green goes back in, does what he says, pays his tab, finishes his drink, and then he leaves.
Speaking of the sites, so no bike. Didn't appear that anybody really, well, uh, it didn't appear that anybody really followed him after leaving, correct? That's
Correct.
what you're putting. Um, so that's good to know. Thank you for letting us take a look at the surveillance footage, Smitty.
Yeah, anything I can do to help.
Hmm.
I don't know. I shouldn't have let him drive home. I didn't call him a cab. I didn't stop him from leaving. He was wound up a little bit more than usual.
You have any idea why?
I imagine it was probably because of those two girls. I
Um,
mean, he was what, 20, 25 years older than the two of them. He's hitting on him. I mean, what else do you expect? But he don't think about stuff like that.
hmm. You have any kind of family in town? Anybody else who we need to be thinking of with regards to details and such?
No, not so much. My wife passed away a couple of years ago. My kids are off, graduated from college about 10 years ago. They're off doing their own thing out of town. So it's just me in this bar, and that's it.
Okay. And you haven't noticed anything strange or concerning around you since last night?
No, not since last night. Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, hmm. I guess you just go about what you normally do, try to stay in the view of, the people who the local police have put out there to try to keep an eye to make sure that you're okay. But we appreciate you giving us a hand. Um, have you been a local? Is this where you've been most of your life?
Yeah, I've been around a while, and I mean I know why they're watching me, and because I remember what happened to my buddy Stan Wilkes, the bartender over at Jacob's Pub back in 2013.
Okay.
Um, I suppose I'm on the Phantom Riders list.
Well, we want to make sure that you're safe in case of you know, anybody's list that could be on. But you mentioned that Phantom Rider. That's come up a couple times since we've been out here. You do you have any stories of your own relating to that? Any experiences relating to the times that has happened in the past?
Well, I knew Jake Baker, uh, the guy, the hellion that everybody says that this all is connected to somehow.
Uh-huh.
Jake was a local boy, went to high school here, so I knew him growing up. Um, he was a troubled kid, came from a bit of an abusive home, ended up in foster care by the time I think he was about 14, but obviously ran with the wrong crowds, found his way into the Hellions. But all in all, Jake was a good dude. I mean, despite the fact that he, had his tendencies. As far as I know, he didn't do no drugs, but he sold them. Um, but I mean, he was friendly. If you needed a hand, especially if it was something to do with a car or a bike, I mean, he'd drop everything he was doing to help you out. I mean, he fixed my car back in the day. I mean, he and I probably about the same age, honestly. You know, um, I went to school with him, and I had some trouble with my car back in the mid to late 80s. And I mean, he was, you know, maybe 20 years old at that point. But man, he knew his way around a vehicle.
Little gearhead, huh?
Yeah. Hit and run accident, not too dissimilar from Maddox. His bike had broke down on the side of the road and somebody sideswiped him while he was working on it. And buried him in the cemetery up on the hill.
Oh, you know where he's buried at, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. You almost would have thought that, it was one of the cops that died. He was so, I mean, despite his reputation, he was so well liked around the town. It was almost like a parade the day that he died.
Do you have any particular people around here who really were close friends with him? That he was close to?
I don't know. Most of them have moved on. It's a small town. There's not a lot to do here these days, especially when all the factories started drying up. A lot of people left. So any of the guys he ran around with back in high school, especially, nah, most of those guys are long gone. I'm one of the few remnants from those days.
Yeah.
He moved to Columbus for a bit, but he would always come back here, in those later days, around 85 to 87. I guess he was about 18 probably when he went to Columbus.
Gotcha. Hmm. You able to give us directions to where he's buried?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's not too far away from here. Let's see here. It's older cemetery on the outskirts of town called Black Hollow Cemetery. Everybody in town kind of pitched in to get him the plot, since his family, he was separated from his family. They didn't want nothing to do with him.
Hmm.
So everybody kind of pitched in to get him a plot out there.
Gotcha.
Good thing about Black Hollow is it's an older place and not a lot of burials in the last 30 years, and it was already on its decline back then. So it didn't cost that much to buy a plot back in those days.
Mhm. Wouldn't happen to have a picture of him around here with maybe his bike, would you?
Yeah, yeah, hold on. I think I got one around here somewhere. And he goes back to the office and kind of roots around through a few things. And then he actually pulls up a picture of him outside this very bar before it was Smitty's.
Hmm. Thank you. Sainz, you have any additional questions before we let Smitty continue with opening up?
Um, I mean, you didn't see a motorcycle in the lot, or any of the patrons that were here that night, or any of them avid bike riders. He says, no. I said, what about the Hellions? I mean, are there any Hellions that come in here on a regular basis? Well, they they haven't really been around these parts all that much. I mean, occasionally they'll drive through and they'll stop in from time to time, but most of their activities these days is in Columbus or the bigger cities. We're pretty much just a stop off point, so it's not like it's a regular thing around here. Not like it used to be.
You don't have any that come in to pay their respects to the Phantom biker? Huh?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily make it a habit of popping in up at the cemetery up there, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that, from time to time, yeah. I mean, I've seen them roll through town, and a lot of times if they do, they will stop off at the cemetery up there. I mean, like I said, Jake was well liked, not just among the locals, but also amongst those Hellions as well.
Mhm.
He wasn't with him for a long time because he was pretty young, but I guess he made a lasting impression. Most of the guys that come through here now are about my age, so it would have been guys that would have been his age at the time that are, still kind of keeping the memory alive, I suppose. I don't see the younger ones going up there all that much.
Gotcha.
Of course, it's a dying breed. The Hellions are not what they used to be. Um, they're not getting a lot of young recruits these days, from what I hear. Bunch of old farts like me.
Well, we thank you and hope you have a good night and make a lot of money off of your sales. And keep in mind the taxis like you were talking about.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make that a regular thing.
Mhm.
That is, if I make it out of this.
Yeah. I guess we kind of head towards the door. Probably already have passed our phone number to that cop when we talked to him earlier. Get out to the car. So, a couple ideas. We could go back to where the wreck occurred. You know, that original site where we saw the uh, the bike track. Try to see when that began. See how far back it goes. I also think it might be worthwhile to go take a look at this grave, see if there's any kind of fresh um, remembrances out there. You know, something to show a paying of respects. What do you think? Like either of those sound like good ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We know that Fuller gets off around 6. He works his 6 to 6 shift, right?
Right.
Green works with the courts. I would imagine he's a 9 to 5er most of the time. He said that the night of the incident, he got off a little bit late, showed up at Smitty's around 7:30, right?
Right.
I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't hook up with one of the details or two of them. You know, you could take one, I could take the other. It's too bad we don't have anybody else. We could split 3 ways. Um, but keeping an eye on these potential targets to me seems like the best bet. It almost seems like, looking at the other files, these individuals are either on the road or at home when this vigilante, for lack of a better word, attacks, right?
Right.
So I think while they're at work, they're probably okay. But when they're at home or on the way home or on the way to work, that seems to be the time when they're attacked. So I think keeping a close eye on these individuals, I mean, you mentioned something about them being bait. I think that's almost the way that we've got to treat it.
Right.
Because with no solid leads as to who this could possibly be at this point, we've almost got to wait for something to happen. I mean, the cops don't have any leads. We've questioned 3 of the individuals other than these 2 girls, and I highly doubt that either one of them knows how to ride a motorcycle or has some sort of military grade weapon that could cause that amount of damage. And they're probably, even if they can shoot a gun, they're probably not that good a shot.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it would probably be worth, visiting the site, visiting the grave. Smitty said that sometimes some of these aliens come through if there's a presence up there. If, like you said, maybe if somebody left something behind, it might leave some sort of clue as to, maybe who in the Hellions maybe we need to talk to. I don't know.
Right.
But that's the only thing I can think of is just keeping an eye on these folks because if history repeats itself, which that's what's being suggested by the police and just by the MO in general, I mean, these are the obvious targets. I mean, the police did our work for us, I think, in that respect. So at least we're one up now that we're here. I don't know. That's all I can think of.
I think that that makes sense. Um, Here with our last little bit, we Since he said that the cemetery is pretty close, we drop by the cemetery, take a look around it real quick, take our path back uh, towards the sheriff's station to rendezvous there, um, and set up with him about the details that we want to join. And while we're on route, we'll stop and take a look at the site, see if we garner any additional information from that, and then we decide if we want to each take a different detail, like you're talking about, and see what we can do to keep these people safe.
All right.
All right. So I guess we go ahead and we head towards that cemetery plot for Jake Baker.
Okay.
Take a look around.
So the road up to Black Hollow winds up through dead trees and broken stone fences. The town lights fade behind you, replaced by fog that clings low to the ground, pooling between the headstones like a breath held too long. When you get in there, you can tell Black Hollow is old, older than the town itself. Crooked markers lean at odd angles, names half erased, dates stretching back over a century. Iron fencing rusts in slow spirals around family plots, and somewhere a bell chimes faintly, stirred by the wind. You have to search around a bit for the headstone. You knew that he was buried in the late 80s, so in the grand scheme of things, compared to the rest of the stones in the cemetery, it should probably look a little bit more quote unquote modern. So you're looking probably for more of a marble uh, headstone rather than a like stone. So that limits your choices quite a bit. So you have to go a little further back into the cemetery to find it. And eventually you come across it. Jake Baker, 1962 to 1987. Gone but not forgotten.
Does it have anything around it, like anybody's left mementos or,
There
mm,
are no flowers, no remnants of any kind, no offerings of any kind, just bare.
okay. And no fresh prints or anything like that that are obvious.
I make an investigation check. Oh, I didn't see it happen. There it is, 11. Okay. Sites roll too, just for sake of doing it. Hmm, he got a 19.
Yay. Thanks, sites.
Uh, Sites does notice some fresh prints in the area. Uh, Best guess would be probably within the last 48 hours or so. And they do appear to be some sort of uh, boot with a heavy tread.
Can we identify the type of boot, like biker boot versus combat boot versus like a policeman's boot, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Eric assumes that it would either be some sort of like biker boot or combat boot of some type based on the tread.
Okay. Is it just facing the tombstone itself or walking away?
Both.
Okay, so it's like came up, and then if we follow the tracks back, do we come to any additional tracks like from a bike or from a car or anything?
Yeah, it does look like, I mean, you got to kind of go back towards the entrance, but it does look like there might have been a motorcycle or two that peeled out from the area.
Okay. Well, we know that it's been visited, but I don't know if we know how soon it's been visited or recently it's been visited. Um, or did you actually you said you could tell that it looked like it was 4 to 8 hours old?
Somewhere around there.
Okay. That would have been a little bit older than the time of the incident, right?
Well, I mean, depends. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint just by looking at it. I mean, that's my best guess. I mean, it could have been, the night or day of the accident.
Okay. Hmm. Well, maybe let's go ahead and go down, take a closer look at the wreck itself, the place where it happened.
Hmm.
Go ahead and get in our car and make our way back to that area of the road. Again, taking a look at especially the tracks of the bike itself.
Yeah, and it's hard to get a distinct uh, read on the type of wheel, just because the pavement itself, like if you look at the pavement, there is a definite divot in the pavement where the tar had just kind of sunk in a bit from the uh, the tire, but there's no definite tread there. Um, Sights kind of gets in the car and kind of drives slowly, looking at where it came from. And he goes about a mile back and it just disappears. Like it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Does it look like the bike would have already been on the road at the time that it appears?
No,
Okay.
like it just starts. And it looks like it starts at whatever speed it happened to have been going. So it's not like it just was sitting there and started.
Hmm.
It was already en route. So it like fades in.
Hmm. So somebody already on a bike
Hmm.
riding, and almost like they pressed a button and suddenly they're in a new mode
Yeah.
kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, that's interesting. But it does look like there was a kind of a phasing in moment, not like suddenly it started being, at whatever level it was by the time we saw it at the end of its termination point.
It's a quick fade in,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So, like you said, almost like somebody pressed a button and turned on fire mode.
I gotcha. I gotcha. That's interesting. So, hmm, that does feel very, very much like vigilante superhero-ish. Um,
Yeah, and going a couple miles back where the transient was hit, there's no real evidence left behind there. Whatever happened to have been there has already been cleaned up and taken in, I guess, as evidence. And aside from a few bits and pieces of Maddox's car that were left behind and not cleaned up, um, I mean, you can see the evidence of where the accident happened, but yeah, other than that, everything else has been removed.
Then the last tracks of the bike that are, that melting path that we saw, does it instantly stop being that way at the point where the wreck had occurred, or is it like it goes for a little bit of distance beyond it and then sort of has that gradual fade kind of element to it?
You get the same thing. It's kind of a fade out. Yeah.
Okay. All
Goes
right.
for maybe a half mile down the road and then it's gone.
Okay. All right. Hmm. That's really interesting. Don't know where to go with it just yet, but it is really interesting. Um, that feels techish. That also feels very techish in a way.
Hmm.
But why would hmm, I don't know why you would find something that, has these elements out here in the middle of, what was it, Ashford Falls? Is that the name of where we're at? Um, all right. Yeah, I guess we can head on back towards the sheriff and divide ourselves into the details that we want to do. While we're going that way, just kind of talking things through a little. I mean, if this were the same person and the same bike and the same technology, if it is technical at all, if that's an aspect of things, you think that you would have to maintain such a vehicle, such a weapon over the course of time. I don't know how you would even maintain something that could let you move in that fashion.
Yeah. Okay. So we're really thinking in terms of what we know is readily available to the public, to the military, to the government, to what have you, right?
Right. That's the way we've been going so far.
And aside from some secret project, nothing that we know of can do the things that we have seen.
Right.
This is an X file.
Yes. So we got that at its core, but we also have three lives that are probably poised in the balance right now.
And we've been thinking logically, and we've been thinking like Dana Scully. I think we need to think like Mulder.
Okay.
What if there is some truth to this myth of this phantom rider? And what if it is connected to this Jake, what's his last name? Jake
Baker.
Baker. What if it is connected to him somehow? We know at least from what Smitty says, that anybody that he was associated with at that time back in 87 is no longer here. Maybe there's a coincidence that somebody has visited his grave recently, and maybe it's somebody acting as him. That would be the Scully answer, right? But we don't know what it is that's causing the burning aspects both on the pavement, to the car, and to the victim, correct?
Right.
So, what would Mulder say?
Well, I guess putting on my Mulder cap, um, he'd probably go in directions that were either alien in origin or paranormal in origin. Paranormal goes really close with the myth. You've got a soul, restless soul, takes vengeance on those who are predicting are perpetrating something that are in a commonality with what he had experienced. Sort of reliving that instance over and over in a way. So if you were able to break a cycle theoretically, uh, without them having to complete the cycle, it might allow them to have rest. That would be my thought on the paranormal side. If you're going with a more alien explanation, I think that you'd have to start asking yourself the question about, well, what is the motivation of an alien in this circumstance? And I don't think that quite lines up as clearly as the paranormal explanation. But that could just be because that's the folklore that I've been having to take in for the last 24 hours.
Right.
Um,
Okay, so we've talked the two extremes. We've talked potential rational explanations, and we've talked paranormal. What if the in between is where we should be looking?
like a possession.
Mm, my question is it possible that Jake Baker is still alive?
That is a good question. Hmm.
Because that might explain, these acts of vengeance, seeking out revenge on people that have died the same way that he was either injured or what have you at that time. He died in 87. The first incident that happened after his death was 93. So we're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 6 years. If somebody was grievously injured, 6 years might be enough time to recover, assume a different identity, be nearby, and nobody would necessarily know it. Perhaps he's disfigured, perhaps, I don't know. People don't recognize it. And now we're 30 some odd years later. I mean, he would be what, in his, you know, 50s, maybe early 60s at this point, but that's not to say that he's incapable of doing something like this.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just a theory. But I think we have to rule out that it's not Jake Baker.
Right. We have the funeral that people paid for.
But I would assume it was a closed casket, right? Because if he was hit, like physically hit, not like, in a car or what have you, he would have been pretty messed up.
Right, right. We would have to have a coroner's report, though, and
I mean,
uh,
could the Hellions have been the ones that maybe helped to cover it up and
case.
made it seem like Jake was dead?
They could have done that. I don't see why not. Um, did we look in the course of our viewing the reports at any of the death reports regarding Jake Baker's death?
We haven't yet. And maybe that's something that we need to look into. I'm wondering too, now that I'm saying it out loud, if it was even Jake that was hit.
Yeah,
Maybe it was his bike, but maybe it was another one of the Hellions that actually got hit, and it's a case of mistaken identity. And he's seeking out vengeance for his brother in arms.
that could be the case. Uh, hmm. I guess the question is, what's he doing in all the time between these intervals, though?
Well, it's true, but I mean, if we look historically at the hit and runs in this area, there haven't been that many, especially under these particular circumstances. Now,
Mhm.
there have been other hit and runs where people haven't died. There have been hit and runs that involve two vehicles, but these are specific of people on the side of the road, just like Jake was, that have been killed during a hit and run. Any other incidents that, the police here have found don't fit that criteria and do not activate whatever pattern it is that occurs when that criteria is actually met. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Green had mentioned having a person who had drawn him back this direction at some point 8 years ago. Might not quite be the same time frame, but
Well, I think he said that he had a friend of his that had fallen ill, had brought him into town to kind of help the workload, and then he kind of took over the practice.
uh,
So I don't know if that's necessarily a connection. He didn't mention anything about this guy being involved in any way with Baker or any of these other incidents.
right. Well, there has to be some mechanism by which we can find it directly to try and find, other than talking to the Hellions, which is something that we've kind of got on the back burner at the moment. Um,
Well, I hate to say this, but I think honestly, I mean, other than following um, the potential targets, if we want to try to nip it in the bud before anyone is attacked, which I mean, it's highly likely if anybody's going to be targeted, it's probably going to be tonight or tomorrow because it seems like most of this happens within about a 5-day stretch. So we are sitting on a ticking time bomb right now.
mhm.
I think we got to rule out that Jake is dead. Um, and the only way we can do that is by exhuming the body. And that's going to take a court order, but if we can get the sheriff behind it, he might be able to expedite it.
Yeah, We could do that. That'll probably, I imagine, take through tomorrow or after.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't see a reason why not to ask that. I mean, if it's part of the, it makes sense to to verify that there is a body there at least. Um, I'm not sure if I can, we can check to see if there are dental records that can be linked to Jake
right.
for verification purposes at this point. Presumably, if he was in foster care at some point, he would have had dental records taken. So we should have
Yeah,
something that's real there.
yeah,
Um, so basically, we'll run this past the sheriff, get his buy-in tonight. Um, do you think we should go ahead and split up? Each of us cover at least one person?
yeah. I think that's probably worth it.
Okay. Um, in the past, I think it seemed like it worked its way kind of out to in, or excuse me, in to out. So you'd have the person who's the closest. That would be kind of the person who gets hit first.
Thinking like the profiler I am, I think the most obvious first target, and looking at some of the other cases, is the individual that's closest to the victim.
Mhm.
So I think Bill, if I were the killer, I think Bill would be my first target.
Right.
And then second is probably Green. I think that Smitty is probably third on the list because I don't think the responsibility is as heavy on him. But there's a definite responsibility with the best friend. There's a definite responsibility for the lawyer. And there's a certain level of guilt, I think, on the lawyer as well, because he's gotten this guy off on at least two other occasions off of DUIs. And he knows the guy is a drunk. He let him go. Even though he tried to stop him, he still let him go. So if we're relying on responsibility and guilt, those two probably are higher on the list. So since there's only two of us, I think that one of us takes Bill and the other takes Green. I think Smitty for now, I don't know if I could say is safe, but is less likely to be targeted right off the bat, if at all. But I mean, we know that there was a case that, and Smitty even mentioned it, his friend that was the bartender back in 2013 that was targeted. So, I mean, it makes sense that he's on the list at least. We don't know of anybody else that could potentially bear any kind of responsibility in this other than him.
Right. Yeah, I follow that reasoning. You want to flip for who gets fuller?
I tell you what, let me take Green
Okay.
because I kind of got a feel for him anyway. And there's a possibility if I can talk to him again, I might have a few more questions for him. So maybe before we follow him home, I might be able to corner him a bit and ask a few more questions and maybe see if I can get a little bit deeper under that facade and see if he's got any other information that might be pertinent.
That sounds good. I like that. So I guess we get to the sheriff's office, talk through exhuming the body, um, and apprise the sheriff of our plans, and get ourselves ready for our long nights. Uh, yeah, seems the way we go.
Now, Mercer, or is that right? What's his name? Is it Mercer? No,
The
that's the other guy,
sheriff.
the sheriff. Getting all these
Uh,
names mixed up. Hensley.
yeah, Hensley.
I,
That's
I
it.
think I think I think Mercer was the last sheriff that we
Mercy
talked
was the last sheriff.
to. um, Hensley says, "Ooh, exhuming a body is a big ask, but I can see where you're going with this. I think it's worth certainly, exhausting all possibilities. Judge Baker is who I would need to contact about that, and he's a bit of a hard ass, but I mean, I've known him for a good amount of time, and I can probably twist an arm and see if I can get that sped up. Um, Let me get in contact with him before the courts close and see if I can get him to write something out, and we'll see if we can get this done within the next 24 hours or so. But I think your idea of following our targets is probably worth it. So, whoever you all want to follow, I'll hook you up with the deputies that are in the detail, and you want to ride along with them or just follow.
I think I'll ride along. Well, wait, we're thinking that Fuller's the one who's going to be more likely to be attacked. So I guess I'll take the car and let Seitz ride along with the ones for Green. I got a question.
Mhm.
Baker's not exactly the most uncommon name in the world. The judge ain't kin with Jake by chance, is
Shit, I just made up a name that I already used, didn't
he?
I?
That's okay.
Okay. Let's call him Judge Becker. How about that,
There
Judge
we go,
Becker?
Judge Becker. Okay. Cool, cool.
I thought my improvisation skills were better than
Oh man, you do a
that.
great job. Give yourself credit. Names are hard to keep up with in any gaming thing.
I was literally going through the alphabet and I was like, A, B, okay, I'll go B. All right, Becker or Baker.
We'll scratch that question. But yeah, the I guess I'll take the car just in case. Need to have some mobility to try and follow an assailant or something.
Okay.
Longest sights doesn't feel feel like that leaves him in a lurch. Um, we both get motorcycles from the local police department.
All right. So, sheriff leaves to make the call. And then if you're going to take the car, I guess you'll go to the distribution yard to meet up with the officer there to follow Bill.
Mhm.
Um, Seitz heads over to the lawyer's office, and the two of you have cell phones and can contact each other if need be. You end up showing up back at the distribution yard, close to 6 o'clock, end of shift for Bill. And Bill comes out, uh, sees you with the officer at the patrol car. Uh, waves at the both of you, actually comes up to the officer and says, "Everything good? You see anything?" Cop says, "Nope, it's been pretty quiet out here. Uh, this agent from the FBI is going to follow us back to your place if that's okay." "All good by me. The more the merrier." And he hops into his car and begins his drive home. Um, you guys begin to follow and start going down the same stretch of road where the initial incident had occurred. Nothing happens there. He takes a right on an old country road and starts going down there. Um, as you guys are driving, you hear. Oh, okay, so yeah, actually, you're in a separate car. You playing the radio maybe as you're going?
I can be if it's required for dramatic effect.
Not necessarily.
I probably won't. I probably
Probably
won't
wouldn't.
have it on then.
Okay. All
That
right.
way I can hear a phone call if a phone call comes.
Hmm. Um, make a perception check, please.
See, man, I haven't rolled above a 14 this whole game. Oh man.
So you have your eyes set on the cruiser that's in front of you, and then Bill's car is in front of them. Everybody following a safe distance, 3 seconds behind, and you're just paying attention to the road ahead. When all of a sudden something black shoots by your vehicle. You didn't hear anything approaching, but then all of a sudden you hear an engine roar of vroom, and it just breezes past your car, easily going, 30 miles faster than what you are. And you know, you're following a cop car, so you guys are going the speed limit. The guy up front is definitely going speed limit because he didn't want to get pulled over by the cop that's following him,
Right.
even though it's his own detail. So, I mean, you guys are going about 35, 40 miles an hour, but this guy speeds past you, uh, going about 60. It is definitely a motorcycle. And as you are startled by this, it almost vibrates your teeth. The engine roars so loud. Uh, this thing doesn't just pass you, it almost slides past you. Um, and the exhaust coming from it is glowing almost like a faint orange. And as this thing passes you, I mean, this happens in an instant, but it's like burned into your memory as soon as it happens, because this guy glances over at you, and just in a flash, you uh, see that he's wearing a black helmet and it's shattered on one side. And as he looks past you, you almost see like this trail of like glowing ember that is like pouring from the helmet.
Hmm, that don't look healthy.
And the motorcycle surges forward, passing the cruiser, and pulls alongside the target's vehicle. You can see Bill's vehicle. He takes notice and swerves slightly, and you see the rider raise one hand, and in that hand is a heavy pistol.
Do we have time to react to
You
this
do.
at all? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
Um, so having seen the pistol
Hmm.
become evident, um, I don't know. I don't know exactly what one can expect to be able to do to something that looks like it has a spectral trail of fire coming out of its eye socket. However, it is a bike, so maybe you can hit the bike with your bumper
Hmm.
and throw it a little bit off course at least.
And as soon as that gun comes out, you see the lights on the cruiser go on in front of you, and he immediately speeds up.
Okay, so we're both kind of thinking the same idea. It sounds like.
Hmm.
Um, um, I guess hitting the horn to be distracting and doing a drive check to try to get up there and see if I can hit this guy in the tail.
All right.
Um, Vehicles, I guess in this game is vehicles check.
Hmm.
Hey, I only did at least a good one.
There you go. All right. So, what is your intention here?
Well, I think that while while I would love to credit Sam with wanting to abide by catching somebody, I feel like in a moment like this where it looks like there is an evident threat to a life, he's probably more on the side of this person is not a person whose life I can actively try to preserve at the moment. So basically, move into the opposite lane, go up, and try to hit the bike, and in doing so, hopefully knock the bike over. If he can stop before he runs over the biker and the bike, then of course he'll try to. But the whole point is to try to basically get that bike down.
Hmm.
Um, and if he can't stop, well, running the guy over will hopefully have an effect of stopping the attack.
Yeah.
So
All right. So, with your 21 to his 12 on the vehicles roll, you're able to skirt past the cruiser and clip the backside of the bike, which sets him off kilter. He fires the gun, which goes wild. Fortunately, it does not hit the target. You see like a stream of fire shoot out of the gun. It's like no incendiary bullet that you've seen. I mean, you've seen incendiaries before. Usually it's kind of a pinpoint of like a very thin light that comes out of it. This literally the gun poof, like lights up in a burst of flame and shoots. You mentioned like a flamethrower, almost like a flamethrower, but much faster than that. And it's just a single shot. But I mean, you can watch the bullet as it goes.
okay.
But it goes up and over the car. He swerves and skids on its side. And he's moving at a fast clip. So, I mean, he skids on the side all the way down the road for probably about 100 meters.
Okay, definitely continuing to try to follow after him. Um, so does he skid like is he off the bike kind of skid or is it
He's
he's
still on it and laying
oh,
on his side. And I mean, like major road rash,
uh,
along the right-hand side. But somehow, let me make another roll for him here. Ooh, no, he ends up laying on the road. He's still on the bike, but he's laying on the road prone.
Does it seem like he kept the weapon in his hands, or did he lose the weapon?
You make a perception check.
Okay.
To the best of your knowledge, you kind of lost track of the side of the gun, but you did not see him drop it.
Okay. Um, so just to keep track of the other people involved, has Fuller kept going and the other police group escorting him kept going, or has anybody peeled off to kind of
Uh,
participate?
the Fuller keeps driving and he guns it.
Uh,
He doesn't care about the cop anymore. And the cop is now screeching to a halt and kind of pulling his car in between the rider and Fuller's car as he's driving away.
okay. Um, just processing through Sam's thought process here because he's very attentive to the fact that last time he nearly got nixed. So, um, and it's very important to him to keep that from happening. So there's also the question of, is it the wisest thing to let Fuller keep going by himself? But it seems like it's probably if this isn't if there's more than one person to be concerned about, that's a whole other ball of wax anyway. So
Mhm.
um, I think that what he probably does is um, he's got his car halted, opens the door, maybe brings the window down, and braces himself and calls to the person on the ground to um, uh, are there any weapons you have so that we can come in and assist you? Something along. I'm not going to yell because yeah.
The cop, the sheriff deputy, gets out of his car, lines himself up over the hood, draws his gun, starts yelling expletives. Get off the bike! Get off the bike now! Hands in the air where I can see them. Um, I would say at this point, let me see here if I can do this in this screen. I don't know if I can or not. Actually, where do I have you? You're still at Smitty's, right? Let me do something here. Because I think I gotta pull these guys into the scene for this to happen. There we go. Now it's not Kyle, but I'm just going to use him as my base here for our deputy.
Okay.
And then if you want to roll your initiative there.
Oh, let me go to the top, click on it.
All right, so you've got initiative at this point. So what do you do?
Um, Phantom Rider, it's down. On a die. um, well, one thing that I probably have already started doing is kind of garnering visual details of what this person looks like.
Hmm.
Like their body frame and everything. Um, so like Just to check on it. Does not look like the body frame of Smitty, correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
he's fairly thin. I mean, well built, but thin.
Okay.
He's got black leather head to toe. The visor, like I said, is all black, and half of the helmet is shattered as far as the visor goes. And it's kind of hard to see from the angle that he is right now because he's laying prone and on his side to really make anything else out. But he's got black gloves on. You don't see any flesh.
Um, he has his gun trained on him, obviously. Um, I, I I guess I would describe this as sort of readying an action.
Hmm.
Um, if he tries to peel off, if the guy tries to take off or tries to shoot, he's preparing to use force as a way to try to counteract that.
Hmm.
Uh, while preparing, so I guess it's kind of like holding an action in a way.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think aiming might give you an extra bonus too. I'm not sure about that. I don't know the rules clearly enough to know if aiming gives you an extra bonus with a regular revolver versus a like a like a rifle.
Hmm.
But he calls out, um, and I think I'll just call him Baker. You know, he's called it Baker. Baker, get off the bike like you've been instructed. Get rid of your weapon. It's over. Something like that.
And the deputy is still shouting at him to get up, get off the bike, and so forth. So both of you guys are kind of ready, like you said, readying in action and just preparing. You can see the rider begin to move. He's got one leg under the bike, so he has to move the bike to get up. Uh, but in a very quick motion, he pushes himself up off the ground, still on the bike, and readies the bike.
Okay.
And you hear him rev the engine. And when you hear that rev, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. For those, do I just need to click on the +2 that's next to wisdom? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. You are frightened. You have this overwhelming sensation of terror that comes over you.
Now I'm starting to sound like the policeman.
Um, and you cannot make an approach on this figure uh, until the end of your next round.
Okay.
Now, you can shoot if you want to shoot, but you cannot approach.
Okay.
After he revs that engine, then he begins to move in the direction of the police cruiser. Now you still have initiative.
Okay. Um, so this isn't the start of the next round, though. This is still the
Still same
last one.
round. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, definitely taking a shot. Um, I'm trying to decide if probably aiming at say long legs, so long kneecap. That kind. No, wait, that's not going to actually be the best thing to do on a bike. Um, Aiming towards arms and hands. So
Okay.
that's the general intent.
Now You would have had advantage for readying that action, but because you are now afraid of him, you're not at disadvantage. You're just rolling normal.
Okay. Let's go to inventory and let's see. I just click on the weapon title, right? Or do I click on
Oh, let's see here. So going to inventory. So you're going to go over to your, is this the 9 millimeter?
yeah,
Okay, so you're going to go over to the +5 and click
okay.
on that.
All right.
22 will definitely hit. And you said arms and head,
Arms and hands.
arms and hands. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So you clip him on his left shoulder or bicep, and on the backside as he is heading towards the cruiser. Go ahead and roll damage.
That's
5. Okay. All right. So you hit him, and it seems like it has almost no effect. It injured him, but he continues his path. The deputy aims. Do you have any more actions?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't. I don't think you do. We're level 3, right?
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So deputy aims, takes a shot, gets a 1, misses completely, um, and it the bullet just goes free over his shoulder, misses completely. And the rider continues on. As you're watching, he goes from like 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds, and is heading directly for that cruiser. Now, from the angle that the deputy is, the deputy's at the front over the hood attempting to fire. He, the rider is heading towards the back of the vehicle. You watch as you swear, and it's moving so fast it's hard to see, but you swear he goes through the vehicle and continues down the road.
Well, then, suppose getting in the car and trying to catch up to him is the next thing to do. Um, I don't expect that shooting at him again is going to necessarily do the trick. Um, so I will begin pursuit. Um, do I need to make any kind of a check for that, or is it kind of
Yeah, that'd be a driving. Hmm.
so vehicles? Gosh darn it, man.
Oh, well, you did better than he did.
Yeah,
That shot must have thrown him off.
yeah.
So very quickly, you're able to kind of catch up behind him. Now you haven't caught up completely to him because of the speed that he's going. And I mean, he's going at a fast clip. Like he went 0 to 60 immediately, but then
Hmm.
has increased to over 100 miles an hour. So you're behind him, but within shooting range.
Okay. Um, yeah, why not? That sounds fun. I'll do that. Um, so go back to the 9 millimeter, click on the +5, puts the gun out the window, and tries taking a shot
Oh.
and misses. There needs to be like a rule for getting a wish on this game when you roll ones, like because I think that's like my fourth or fifth one
Yeah,
today.
that's a lot.
Uh,
Okay, so unfortunately, you take the shot this time and the gun jams.
okay, so uh, well, continuing to drive, we'll probably at some point try to switch to the Pocket 38.
All right, he got a 20 on his vehicles roll.
Do I need to do another vehicles
Hmm.
roll?
Yep,
Okay. All right. Spending karma.
19. Okay.
Yeah,
So you
not quite.
keep pace with him, fall behind just a little bit, but still within range. And he is very quickly now closing in on Fuller's vehicle.
Okay. Let me see something real quick with this Pocket 38. Ah, all right, so I uh, I think that I have something that allows me to kind of quickly uh, change out guns and stuff like that because of the
Hmm.
sharpshooter thing.
Yep.
So I basically like switch out the guns and start shooting with the other one. I feel like there's a I can't remember what it was, so I can't do anything with it if there is. I feel like there was something special you could do to actually like increase damage with the 38, and that was kind of an interesting little feature with having it. But won't worry about that right now. I will just roll. Hey, got a crit.
Hey, all right. Let's see. Let's draw, reload, sharpshooting. You get +2 attack rolls with that weapon
Okay.
if you don't move during that turn. But I'm going to say since you're not like running or walking, I'll count that. So you would get a +2, so it's a 27.
Cool.
So roll double damage.
Critical.
Okay. And we're going to make another vehicles roll for him. Ooh, not great for being a phantom rider. He's not very adept on his bike apparently. So you hit him. He veers, rolls off the road down into a ditch, and kind of pops up and out, loses control, ends up back on the road once again,
Well,
and on his side.
oh, kind of like earlier.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna run him. Ugh, that sounds so wrong. That doesn't seem like what a professionally trained. I don't
I
know.
would, because of the speed that you're moving, I would actually roll a vehicle's roll if you want to avoid hitting him.
Okay.
If not, you will hit him.
I'm gonna roll a d6, even odds to decide what Sam does here. Um, Even we will say that he does not roll try to run him over. I got odds, so he does not decide to abstain from his current path. So, um, what happens now?
So you're not going to do a vehicle roll then, right?
I'm not going to do a vehicle roll.
Okay, so this one I'm having to look up because I haven't dealt with this before.
Me neither, honestly. I don't know if I've ever had a situation where I've had to run someone over with a car in game out of the years that I've played.
Ooh, okay, so you're going to roll uh 16d6.
What? Wow. Okay. So let's see, does that I have just added 1d6. If I put 16 before that and then hit roll, it'll roll 16d6, huh?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That's a mess of d6s.
Okay. All right. So you are driving towards the rider, and you see him once again very quickly pushing the bike back up, but he's like sideways in the road at this point. So you are coming at him full speed and going to hit him broadside. You hit, and there is like this fiery explosion that just blows up right in front of you. I'm gonna have you make another vehicles roll. 16. Okay, you're able to maintain control of the vehicle, but you have to swerve and skid. You throw on the brakes, almost lose control, but you're able to come to a stop. You see the tail lights of the uh, of Bill's vehicle speeding away in front of you. You get out of the car, gun drawn, and pointing back in the direction of where the rider was, and there is nothing but a trail of smoke.
Hmm.
And the road falls silent. You see the deputy's car driving forward and drives through the smoke, sees you, comes to a screeching halt. He pops out of the car and he's like, "Where is he? Is he still going?
I mean, you should have been back there. You should have ran him over again.
Did he run off the road?
No, no. Unless he got rammed
Shit,
off the road.
shit." And he runs back to his cruiser, and he says, "There's an old side road over this way. I'm going to go down there. You keep going. Follow Eric or
Pull, Puller.
follow Fuller." And he gets back in his cruiser and starts searching around.
And I get back in the car and uh, begin my way towards Fuller's place and trying to catch back up to him. I will do a perception check of the area, I guess, just before doing that, just to
Hmm.
see if I see anything, um, like take note of anything. Um, um, Normal.
The only thing you saw is that trail of smoke. There's no
Okay.
evidence of the bike. There's no evidence of the guy, but you are 100% sure you hit him.
Okay. So get in the car, peel off towards Fuller.
All right. You finally catch up to Fuller. I mean, he booked it and finally just pulled off to the side of the road when he saw that, nobody was following him. He sees your car approaching and he runs out into the road and starts waving you down.
Mhm.
And he's like, "What happened? What happened? What the fuck was that?"
Get in your car. We're going to your house. Go.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He gets in his car and he peels off again. And you follow him home, and he is just a bundle of nerves, just terrified of what just happened, and just doesn't even know what to say. He's asking, "What was that? Who was that? Did you catch him? Did you get him?" And I mean, he's beside himself.
On the way there, I did go ahead and give a quick call on speakerphone to let Seitz know, like in brief, what we have encountered.
Sure.
Uh, but come on, get in here. I get out my car, get him out his car, get him inside the house, um, set him down, look inside of his fridge, try to find something that is not alcohol.
Yeah, he immediately goes to the fridge and starts downing a vodka.
Whatever it takes, man. Sit down, have him sit down. I don't give him a lot of answers to his questions, kind of step around them to some extent. Um, but let him know that the other policeman is looking into things. Um, keep an eye on him while I call um, the sheriff and speak to him, ask if he's gotten a report back from that particular deputy.
And he says that he has, and that he's been searching the area. They've got other units en route that are going to continue the search. And he's getting in the vehicle himself to join the search as well. Um, and long story short, they go out, they search for hours. You and Seitz join the search. You guys come up with absolutely nothing. Fast forward to the next day, and you have the court order for the exhumation. You join the sheriff and the deputies at the cemetery. There's a backhoe that's already there and is waiting for you guys to arrive. It begins the process of digging up the coffin. They pull it out, open it up, and inside there are remains, charred bones, melted fragments of leather, motorcycle chain fused to the rib cage, a blackened skull, cracked open from the inside as though something burned out. Um, the body is taken in for examination. Dental records are sent off. It is identified as Jake Baker. But the explanation of the condition of the remains cannot be determined. And it looks as though the body was burned within the last 24 hours.
Whew.
But but there is no damage to the inside of the coffin.
And as far as build goes, I know it's remains, so it may not quite be uh, obvious. But does Sam get the eerie feeling that this is who he encountered on the road the other night?
It's the leather that he's wearing. is the same leather that you saw on that rider.
Hmm. Besides, that leather's the same. I swear that this is quite reminiscent of the person that I ran over last night.
He just lets out a big long sigh and is at a loss for what to say. Finally, when he's able to speak again, he's like, well, this isn't over. I think we need to stick around and still maintain watch on these potential targets and see what develops. I say we give it a week, and if nothing else happens, I don't know that there's much more that we're going to be able to do. I mean, we continue the investigation, we continue looking into this further. But after what happened to you last night, I would be surprised if we find anything.
Yeah. Trying to remember back to the very beginning of where we started talking about Jake Baker's story. There was a culmination on who was responsible for, supposedly there was, on who was
Mhm.
responsible for sideswiping him
Yep.
initially.
And he died under unusual circumstances, but the records don't really show uh, you know, the cause of death was fire related,
Mhm.
but kind of unspecific. We're talking about records that are 35 years old. Um, you see something that references something unusual and uh, alludes to spontaneous human combustion. But with this being that first kind of case that really didn't necessarily seem to be connected, I mean, all signs point to the fact that it was very, very similar. And remaining in town for the next week or so, no further deaths occur. All three victims, potential victims, survive through the week. You guys make contact with the FBI office in Columbus. They round up a couple of the Hellions. Several of them admit to having known Jake back in the day. One of them admits to visiting his grave uh, within the last week. He was passing through town, came in to pay his respects, and left. But he was gone and has a witness that will corroborate his whereabouts at the time of the first murder. So he is ruled out as a suspect. Um, Nobody has any connection to the town from the Hellions other than that guy on that date. And everybody locally, nobody meets up, with any kind of suspicion over any of this. So it ends up essentially being an unsolved case. And, APB is put out for a motorcyclist that fits the description that you gave. But since you didn't actually see a face, the identity is currently unknown. There's no license plate on the motorcycle that can be tracked. It ends up becoming a dead end. And so we'll cut now to the epilogue. A different road, Two lanes of asphalt cutting through open darkness somewhere far from Ashford Falls. No street lights, no buildings, just the steady white lines slipping past beneath the glow of a single motorcycle headlamp. The rider hums softly to himself inside the helmet. Wind rushes by. The night feels empty. Headlights crest a hill ahead. Too fast. The car swerves. Too late. Metal collides with bone and steel. The motorcycle explodes into sparks as the rider is thrown through the air, tumbling end over end before landing hard against the shoulder of the road. Silence. The car skids to a stop several yards away. A door opens. The driver stumbles out, breathing hard, staring at the crumpled figure on the pavement. The rider doesn't move. The driver of the car swallows, looks up and down the empty highway, then panic. He runs back to the car, slams the door, and peels out, taillights vanishing into the dark. The body lies still. Smoke curls from twisted metal. A moment passes, then another. Inside the helmet, something stirs. Beneath the cracked visor, the rider's eyes open and ignite with a hellish flame.